So this is the Angel Tarot card deck created by Radley Valentine, artwork by Steve A. Roberts. Now it is a proper tarot deck. You do have the full 78 cards and they do follow the normal 4 suits with the 22 cards of the major arcana. I fancied this deck for a while because a couple of psychics I know use it, one who's a good friend, and I thought I'd like to have a go because I did like the imagery that I saw on the cards when they've shown me pictures of them, so it is a deck that I wanted for a while. Now the first thing you notice is that it does have a silver coloured edge. The cards that have the sort of metallic edges are actually easier to use. They tend not to stick together like the ones that don't have a silver edge do tend to stick together and can be a bit more difficult to shuffle. So that's immediately a plus. They do, of course, come with this little guidebook, which is quite helpful. Now, as a professional, it's not something I would normally use because I do work on an intuitive level. I don't normally read the book, but if you are a beginner or if you're not sure of the meaning of one of the cards, you do have this to fall back on, which is quite useful, and it's quite comprehensive, goes into the potential meanings of every card. So the first thing, other than the lovely metallic sides, that I noticed about this pack is it's actually really big and a little bit unwieldy. Now I'm going to show you what I mean by putting them alongside another pack. So if you're used to the Doreen Virtue type sort of size and style of oracle cards that you get from Hay House, it's going to feel big to hold. Now the cards are more or less the same size, but you've got a whole lot more of them. An oracle deck is normally sort of 40 or 50 cards, and this is the full 78. So for starters, you've got a lot more cards to try and hold in your hand. And even as someone who's used to handling cards, I find this a little bit tricky to hold and shuffle because there's just so many of them, and it is really big. So if you're a beginner, just bear in mind that this might not be the deck for you if you have small hands. It can really knock your confidence if you're struggling to shuffle the cards before you've even started trying to read them. And they are bigger than the normal tarot decks that I'm used to as well. I'll put them alongside my first tarot deck here, which is the Tarot of the Cat People. And you see the cards are actually much smaller. So although you do have 72, they're much smaller, which makes them easier to handle because they're quite narrow, which makes them easier to hold and easier to shuffle. So again, size may be an issue. So unless you're someone who has quite large hands, and I don't have small hands, I'm not a small woman insofar as I am just over 5'10". And I am used to handling packs of cards, including big ones, but even I struggle a little bit with this pack. So that is definitely something to bear in mind if you're thinking about getting this one. So getting on to the business side of the card, which is the bit you want to be looking at when you're doing your readings. It's very nicely done. I really like the artwork. The pictures are very detailed, so you have a lot of scope there if you work intuitively to pick details out of the pictures that can really help you with your reading to understand the meaning of the cards. Now he has used, as I said, it's the traditional tarot pack. So you've got 78 cards, you've got 22 major arcana, which have a purple border like this one, and then you have the 4 suits. Now, instead of the traditional names, which would be cups, swords, staves, and coins, he has or pentacles. He has used fire, the 4 elements, so earth, air, fire, and water. As you can see, so water has the pale blue outline, earth is green, fire is of course red, and then air is this blue colour. Now, if you are a beginner with tarot cards, I can see this might be a little bit of a problem at first because the purple of the major arcana is very similar to the blue of air, but the major arcana have their number at the top here to show you that it is a major arcana card. So that's one to look out for, just in case you get a little bit confused and you're not sure what card's what. Now, I have actually started using these in my readings for clients, and I have to report that they are very good. I'm very impressed with them. They're very easy to use, as long as you can handle the big size. They're very easy to read. It's very easy to know what card it is. You don't have to deal with Roman numerals or anything. It's all written in English and in the kind of numerals that we're used to. And also the little description at the bottom is something that you don't normally get in a regular tarot pack. For example, this is the Tower of the Cat people again. I'm comparing it to here. Normally it just tells you what the card is. And then you have to work out or remember what it means. If you've ever been on my workshops, you'll know I'm not a huge fan of remembering the meanings of cards, because then you tend to rely too much on the left brain, and this should be a very right-brained intuitive activity when you're reading cards. So it is very nice that they have put a few little words just to help you out with the meaning. If you're a beginner or you're not entirely sure, or you think you know what you feel about the card, it can really help to confirm what you're saying in the reading, or what you're feeling about your client and that you want to say to them. Now, if you have any experience of using a regular tarot deck, these cards are going to look very familiar to you. A lot of the imagery will hold some of the symbolism that you're used to seeing in a regular deck, much as it's got its own twist and its own kind of pictures on there. So it is very, very familiar for somebody who is not used to using tarot cards. It's not completely different or completely out there. It's just got the angelic theme running through it, which does bring a very nice energy to the pack as well. It is quite an uplifting and positive pack, and they do focus very much on the positive and encouraging messages rather than some of the negative or less encouraging messages that you might get from a traditional tarot pack, which can put some people off having readings with tarot cards, which I do understand. When some of the cards are particularly negative, these tend to put more of a positive spin on things, which is what I try to do in my readings anyway. I try to focus on constructive information as opposed to doom and gloom, which doesn't really help anybody. And it can just be an ego trip if somebody's giving you all doom and gloom and unhelpful negative information. The point of a reading is obviously to give your client information, to give them help, and to give them the tools to find better options if there are difficult times coming or difficult situations that they have to deal with. And these do the job very nicely because they are very upbeat in all their messages. Even the more difficult or challenging cards, they're very pragmatic about the positives of the situation and what can be done to improve a difficult situation. So overall, I'm going to rate this deck as an 8 out of 10. It would actually be a 9 or maybe a 10 if they weren't so big and unwieldy, because they're just really difficult even for me to handle. And I'm very, very used to handling packs of cards, especially big ones, and these are a little bit on the big side even for me, but I do very much like them. My clients are very much enjoying the readings that they're receiving from these cards, and I can see that this is definitely a pack that I'm going to get a lot of use out of in the future. So with regards to who it's for, if you're an experienced tarot reader, you will probably love this pack. It's beautiful. The pictures are very pretty. If you like unicorns and angels and that sort of energy, and mermaids, that sort of energy meshes with you. If you resonate with that, you will absolutely love it. If you enjoy the beautiful imagery, if you work intuitively like I do. If you are a beginner, you may find them a little bit big and unwieldy, but other than that, if you can find workarounds to shuffle them, I can show you a few shuffling techniques, and I will be doing a video soon on different ways to shuffle cards, just to give you some tips there, because it can be tricky. They're great for beginners as long as you can handle the size of them. Excellent for experienced tarot readers who I think will enjoy using them just because they're so nice to look at when you're working. So overall, it's a solid 8. I would definitely recommend these. The price isn't too bad either. I think these were about £20. The RRP on the back is in US dollars, so it's $21.99 US. I think these were being sold they were a gift, so I'm not entirely sure, but I believe it was $19.99, bought from a local esoteric shop in Bournemouth called Enigma. I always try and give them a plug because it is nice to try and support local businesses rather than the likes of Amazon or the big online traders. So it is quite an easy pack to get hold of. It's not particularly scarce. It's quite a recent pack. It hasn't been around all too long. It is by Hay House, so you know it's going to be a quality pack. And all in all, it's a pretty good all-rounder. So I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it was informative and useful. If you've got any questions, please do leave them down below for me. And remember to give me a thumbs up if you like this video, or a thumbs down if you didn't. And please do subscribe for more videos. See you soon.